All right, guys. So I am making this video because I want to go through my sales process with you a bit. So just so we can kind of just how I work on like a process level, and then obviously we'll go into the more nitty gritty stuff as we go and go forward, right? So how I break my process into like a system, right, in terms of the chat closing thing is I kind of have these checkpoints right here, right? So I'm just going to walk you through like what a straight line sale looks like for us, and then you'll kind of see what I mean in just a second, right? So first we have our DM, right? So we had our DM comes in. So we do a variety of different ways to get leads, right? So it could be like a lead magnet, could be a quiz, could be a lot of stuff, right? In terms of what we test. In this case, we're going to be talking about a lead magnet, right? So the DM is going to be coming in from a lead magnet, right? This little area right here, like signifies like a conversation, right? So this is where the script comes in, right? The next checkpoint after, the DM is where we send out what I call the VLD. What the VLD stands for is video link drop. So really simple, nothing crazy. And this is basically where we drop the VSL, right? So that's the next checkpoint. And then after that, we will drop what I call the PLD, which is the payment link, right? And then after that, we obviously make money, right? So that's the process from start to finish, right? So they DM us, we talk to them, we drop a video link, talk to them some more, we drop a payment link, maybe talk to them some more, maybe follow up with them, and then they buy, right? So this process can go really fast sometimes, right? So people will buy very quickly, and then there's other people where it might take a day or two to go through, right? Kind of depends on, the cadence of the conversation. So I'm not like picky about how fast it is because I find that, it's okay sometimes if people wait a little bit. But anyway, so the DM side, right? So DM, VLD, TLD, money. So the in between stuff that I have right here, so it says, this is like the yellow arrow, blue arrow, and the red arrow. So these are like what I call phases, or so it's like, what am I thinking, or like what's kind of the point of the phase, and like what am I doing here, right? So obviously in the space between DM and VLD, we are chatting with people, right? So we're using our script or our process that we've already mapped out, right? And the idea here is that we're basically qualifying them, right? We're building rapport, and then we're making sure it's actually a fit for them, right? And then my biggest thing is, and you'll see this as you go through my scripting and everything, I do what's basically called permission-based selling. So I ask a lot of questions. I basically let them sell themselves by asking the right questions, and you'll kind of see what I mean when I go through the script and process stuff, right? So anyway, so that's this phase, right? So I call this a qualifying phase, or and I'm sure you guys are familiar with these terms, but I'm just kind of putting it out there, right? All right, so that's the first part. Now the next part of this is obviously between the video link and the payment link, right? So once we get someone to the video link, then obviously between the video link and the payment link is what I call the OO phase, or objection overcoming phase, right? So this is where, people are going to say they can't afford it, or, you talk to my wife, or et cetera. They're going to talk about a lot of different stuff right here, right? So that is a really important phase, obviously, because that's where, all the money is made when we start overcoming objections, right? Hopefully we did a good job on the VSL, so there's not many crazy objections, right? But sometimes they will come, so we just have to be prepared for that. That being said, so in the objection overcoming phase, there are kind of three big reasons why people don't buy stuff. And so I've broken them down right here. And so I want you to think of this as like your compass, right? And the compass in this case is like based on the questions that they're asking or their objections, you can usually tell which one of these things it is in terms of like what their problem is for purchasing, right? And so I think of it kind of like three levers, or pedals, or however you want to put it, right? And so like at any point in time, we just need to press on one of these levers, whether it be one, two, or three, and then that will help us move forward towards the sale, right? So three reasons why people don't buy stuff. Number one, right? People don't like you, right? Maybe they don't like you. They don't trust the influencer yet, right? So if it's like a super cold lead, or we haven't done a good job nurturing them or talking to them, right? Then there's not a lot of trust built. And then because there's not a lot of trust built, it makes it very tough for us to, make a sale, because, right now we're just a random guy on the internet, especially with some of the traffic that we're going to get. And so, because we're a random guy on the internet that hasn't necessarily provided like tons of value to them yet, it's just they maybe saw a video of ours or something like that. Yeah, that is possible, right? So the main ways that they drive traffic for the offer that we're going to be talking about here is mostly cold traffic. So they have a, conglomerate of shout out pages that they basically use to push traffic into this main page. And then the main page is actually big. It's like 270,000 followers. So it is a big page anyway, that by itself. So Anyway, that being said, so number one, right, they could not like you or they don't trust the influencer, right? Two, they don't like the product or don't understand the value. And those are kind of tied together because, and usually it's that they don't understand how they're going to win or how it's gonna work for them. I'm sorry, how the product works specifically, right? And then that ties into number three, which is they don't believe it'll work for them. It's too good to be true, right? So all objections kind of manifest out of these three things. And so whenever you're talking to someone in the DMs, especially at this part after we drop the video, then that is space for us to basically like figure out what are the problems based on our little compass right here, and then we can tailor our answers to make sure we address those things the right way, right? Because people will say a bunch of different objections, but I found that this is pretty much the way that is done. And then that being said, the payment link, right? So between the payment link and money, right? So sometimes this happens immediately, right? We drop the payment link, they buy. It's fantastic, right? There's other times where they don't necessarily take action immediately, and we drop the payment link, and I call it last minute resistance, right? So this is like, oh, my card is somewhere, or like, oh, can I pay tomorrow, or yeah, like I need to finish work right now, so et cetera, right? So this is after we've dropped the payment link, and they have some kind of excuse like that, right? And so this is what I call last minute resistance. It's just important to stick with them, right? So follow up is really key right here. That is a really essential part. Overcoming last minute resistance is not even necessarily being too pushy, but it's just more about like just sticking with them. Right. And we'll go over some different strategies of how that will work, but that's pretty much it. So this is the process from end to end for DMs, right? So you guys hit me up if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll chat with you soon. Thanks.